The night can be a tender place, not because it solves everything, but because it loosens the grip of the day. Emails, errands, half-finished thoughts, those small weights that sit on the shoulders can soften little by little as you listen. Wherever you are right now, let your jaw unclench, let your tongue rest, let your eyes grow heavy. If you'd like, take one slow breath in and let it out even more slowly. Tonight, we are not chasing mysteries. We are walking gently through a calm corridor of time towards something small enough to fit in the palm of a hand. Imagine a quiet archive room. Not the kind you see in a loud film, no alarms, no hurried footsteps, just shelves, drawers, wooden trays, labels written in neat, patient handwriting, a soft amber lamp that never hurries. In this room, dust doesn't feel dirty. It feels like age, like the faint perfume of paper and clay and long-kept silence. The air is cool in a comforting way, as if the building itself has learned how to breathe slowly. Now imagine a drawer sliding open. It makes a sound like a whisper, a small wooden sigh. Inside there are clay tablets, flat, oval, sometimes broken at the edges, sometimes smooth, sometimes pocked with tiny impressions. They look humble, almost ordinary. And yet, some of them have been waiting for 5,000 years. 5,000 years. Just saying that number can make the mind widen. And I'd like to ask you something, softly, without pressure, just a gentle thought to hold for a moment. Do you feel that 5,000 years is far or near when you imagine it lying idle in a storage cabinet? There's no right answer. Sometimes far feels like a long horizon. Sometimes near feels like a breath, because time, in quiet rooms like this, can fold in on itself. Tonight, we'll fold it gently. We will visit southern Mesopotamia, what we now call parts of modern Iraq, where, around 3200 BCE, people began pressing reed styluses into wet clay, not to write poems at first, not to sing epics, but to count. Barley, oil, wool, sheep, rations for workers who built temples and kept canals clear, lists that helped a city stay steady. Writing, in its earliest heartbeat, was often practical and even soothing. One mark, then another, then a pause. Picture the scribe. Not as a hero, not as a king, just a person with trained hands and a patient eye. The day is warm outside, but the clay stays cool in the shade. The reed stylus is smooth where fingers have worn it down. Each press into the clay meets a quiet resistance, like writing into softened earth. A life of accuracy, a life of keeping track, so storerooms stay full, so workers get fed, so schedules hold, so the city's soft machinery continues to turn. If you listen closely, you can almost hear the world around that scribe. Outside the writing room, a canal runs dark and slow, carrying a thin ribbon of reflected sky. Date palms rustle softly, as if they are fanning the heat away. Somewhere, a clay jar settles on a shelf with a dull, friendly thump. Sandaled footsteps pass over packed earth, unhurried, familiar, the way people walk when they know the path by heart. In the courtyard, barley dries on woven mats. In a storeroom, oil is sealed, bread is counted, and wool is stacked in quiet bundles. A temple wall holds the last warmth of sunlight, while the shade underneath turns cool and blue. The day lowers itself gently, and the city becomes less a place of noise and more a place of routine, breath, and small, careful tasks. And in that steady rhythm, a single tablet can feel like a heartbeat preserved. And now, in our own time, we meet those same marks again, small, wedge-shaped impressions called cuneiform, tiny footprints of thought that hardened into permanence. Many tablets record ordinary things, delivered, received, counted. But among the shelves of ordinary records, there are also tablets and later copies that drift, gently, strangely, into deeper time. Not loud, not sensational, just different. There is a famous document often called the Sumerian King List. Several copies survive, and one well-known piece rests in the British Museum under a catalogue number scholars recognise, WB444. A catalogue number can sound cold, but it also sounds safe. It means the tablet is cared for, given a drawer and a label, offered a small kind of home. On the King List, the writing has the rhythm of a ledger: city, dynasty, ruler, length of reign. And then, quietly, the numbers become wide. Tens of thousands of years appear beside a single name, written with the same steady tone that might record a shipment of grain. The tablet does not argue, it does not explain, it simply records. That calm stubbornness has invited generations of readers to sit with the text, the way you might sit with a dream in the morning, not forcing it into certainty, just letting it be what it is. Tonight, we'll do the same. We will not turn this into a debate. We will not demand conclusions. We will allow the tablet to remain a tablet, patient, quiet, and a little mysterious in the most peaceful way. Because what matters at night is not whether we solve the past. What matters is how it feels to stand near it, to imagine that in a mud brick city, an ordinary person pressed a stylus into clay, and that those marks survived centuries of wind and silence until they reached a drawer under warm light, and then somehow reached your ears. And before we drift deeper into that gentle journey, there is one small thing I'd like to say, just as softly as the rest of the story. Before we drift deeper into tonight's gentle journey, remember to subscribe to Ancient Sleep Story. Here you'll always find peaceful stories that soothe the heart and quiet the mind. Where are you listening from tonight? Leave a comment. Your presence adds warmth to this quiet corner of the night. Thank you for being here. Now, let's return to the drawer. Let's look again at those calm lines, the names, the cities, the reigns. If you imagine the King List as a river, it begins in a headwater fog, where the world is distant and the language feels almost ceremonial without becoming dramatic. The text repeats a phrase like a low refrain. Kingship came down from above, and then it was in a particular city. Not born, not invented, arriving. In the Sumerian imagination, authority could move, it could be carried, it could belong for a time to one place, and later to another. Like a lamp passed from hand to hand, like a seal pressed into different lumps of clay, it is a gentle idea, if you let it be gentle. Because it suggests that power is not the whole of a person, it is a role, a responsibility. Something held for a while, then released. And if your own life has felt heavy lately, if you've been carrying roles that seem endless, this old image can offer a small exhale. You are not your burden. You are the one who holds it. For now. In the King List, after those earliest vast reigns, there is another quiet line, as simple as a door turning on its hinge. A flood passes over, and after that the reign lengths shrink. Still long, still surprising, but closer to what we can picture as human time. Centuries become decades, the river of chronology narrows, the names continue. It is as if the text is guiding us slowly from a distant shore toward a familiar one, without pausing to tell us exactly where the shoreline is. Our own memories do something similar. Some parts of the past are sharp and close, others are stretched, soft-edged, almost dreamlike. We don't always know where one ends and the other begins. Yet we still call the whole thing my life. The tablet, in its own way, holds that same softness. And the King List is only one doorway. As we move through the archive, through hymns, ritual instructions, and stories copied again and again, we meet names the Sumerians spoke with familiarity. Enki, linked to fresh water and craft. Enlil, linked to wind and authority. Inanna, linked to love and the bright planet at dusk. Ninhursag, linked to birth and the quiet strength of the land. In modern conversations, these names can become loud. Tonight we keep them quiet. We treat them the way a careful reader might, as part of a world that felt real to the people writing it, a world where temples were not only places of prayer, but also storerooms, workshops, and administrative rooms, belief and daily labor braided together like reeds. The striking thing is not that ancient peoples spoke of gods, many cultures did. The striking thing is the tone. Some of these texts speak as if the divine was organized, assigned to cities, linked to responsibilities, referenced almost like officials in a long-standing system. The language can feel less like poetry and more like paperwork. And there is something oddly calming about that. Because paperwork has rhythm, it has structure. It returns day after day to the same kind of order, counted, measured, recorded, stored. Even the questions in these tablets are filed. So, imagine the archive room again, a tray sliding out, a tablet lifted carefully, the coolness of clay against a gloved palm, the lamp casting an oval of light, revealing tiny wedges like a field of quiet stars. Here, no one rests alone. Every story from the past is a soft lantern in the dark, gently lighting our way tonight. In the next part, we'll step out of the archive and into the southern air of Mesopotamia, into canals that carry moonlight, into courtyards where barley dries, into temple shadows where a scribe's day begins again. For now, stay with the draw. Let your breathing find its own pace. Let the day loosen. And let the quiet marks in clay remind you. Some things endure simply by being still. Some stories begin with a doorway. Tonight, ours begins with a threshold of light. Imagine that you have stepped out of the cool archive room and into the older world the tablets once belonged to. Not with a rush, not with a sudden jump, just a slow, gentle transition, as if the camera of your attention is gliding forward on a quiet track. You stand at the edge of southern Mesopotamia, long before modern borders, long before paved roads, back when the land was stitched together by canals and the sky was a wide, patient bowl of blue. It is early. The sun has not yet climbed high enough to sharpen the shadows. The air is mild, almost silky, and the ground underfoot is firm where many feet have walked the same paths for years. The buildings are made of mud brick, warm colors, soft edges, like the earth has been shaped into shelter. If you'd like, take another slow breath here. Breathe in, as if you can taste that early morning air. And breathe out, as if you're letting your shoulders fall into place. In the distance, there is water. Not a roaring river, not a storm-fed torrent, just a canal steady and quiet, carrying what the city needs. The surface is dark, reflecting the pale sky like a sheet of glass. A small ripple moves through it and the ripple moves on, and then it is gone. This is one of the gentle miracles of Mesopotamia, a civilization built not on mountains but on careful flow. Water guided, water shared, water counted. And near that water, always near it, there are temples. From far away, the temple complex looks like a low mountain made by human hands. Terraces of brick, stairways, courtyards, the geometry of devotion and administration living side by side. Tonight, I want to bring you to one temple in particular, not because it is the most famous, but because it is soothing to imagine. A temple associated with Enki. In Sumerian tradition, Enki is connected to sweet water, the deep, fresh water that was believed to exist beneath the earth, the hidden reservoir that makes life possible. Even if you do not hold the belief yourself, the imagery can still be calming. The idea of cool water beneath warm ground, quietly supporting everything above it. Picture the temple courtyard. Stone and brick that have cooled overnight. A shaded corner where the air feels blue. A thin line of water moving through a channel, as if the building is gently breathing. Sometimes, in later art, Enki is shown with streams flowing from his shoulders. It's a beautiful image to rest with, a figure of quiet abundance, not forcing, not demanding, simply letting water pour out, letting life continue. And if your mind has felt dry lately, dry from stress, dry from too much thinking, this image can be a small symbolic drink. Water from the shoulders, a soft gift, a reminder that relief can be simple. Now let the scene widen. Beyond the temple walls, the city is awake in a gentle way. People are not racing. They are moving with purpose, but not panic. A basket is lifted, a jar is set down, a reed mat is shaken free of dust. A child runs a few steps and then slows, watching the morning like it is something new. There is a smell of barley, not sweet like sugar, but earthy and warm, like bread in its earliest stage, like grain that holds sunlight inside it. Barley is life here. It becomes food, beer, payment, ritual offering. It moves through hands and storerooms and records. And somewhere in this complex of daily life, there is a room where a scribe works, not a grand chamber, just a space with shade, a surface to write on, and the tools of a patient profession. A bowl of water, a lump of clay, a reed stylus, a small basket for finished tablets. The clay is not yet a document. It is simply earth, softened into possibility. Imagine the scribe's hands, hands that know how to press without tearing, hands that know the exact angle to make a wedge-shaped mark, hands that have learned, through repetition, to be calm. There is a quiet dignity in that, because the scribe is not recording fantasy in the beginning. The scribe is recording the city's breathing, how much grain arrived, how much oil was distributed, how many sheep were counted at the gate. A city is not only walls and temples, a city is also numbers. And those numbers, written down, allow everyone to sleep a little easier. If you've ever felt soothed by making a list, writing tasks down so they stop circling your mind, you already understand a small part of why these tablets existed. They are ancient versions of letting the mind rest. Now let's follow the scribe slowly through a single morning. The sun rises higher and the light changes from pale to honey. In the courtyard, a breeze moves through, lifting dust in soft spirals that glow for a moment and then settle. A worker arrives with a sack of barley, not with drama, not with a story, just with the ordinary weight of work. The sack is set down. The grain inside makes a muted, soothing sound like sand in a jar. A supervisor calls out a count. The scribe listens. The stylus meets the clay. Press, a wedge, press. Another wedge. The marks are small, but they carry meaning. They turn weight into memory. They make the invisible visible, the flow of resources, the rhythm of exchange. And as the morning continues, the tablet fills with tiny, orderly impressions, like a field of footprints. Some tablets are sealed with a cylinder seal rolled across the wet clay. Imagine that too, because it is oddly calming. A small carved cylinder held in the hand, rolled gently, leaving behind a repeating scene, animals, stars, patterns, symbols. The seal is a signature, yes, but also a lullaby of repetition. Patterns repeat, the day repeats, the city repeats, and in that repetition there is safety. Now, if we drift a little farther, the city begins to reveal its geography like a slow map. Eridu, often remembered as one of the oldest cities near the marshes and waterways where reed boats glide without noise. Nippur, associated with great religious importance, where the air feels full of incense and wind. Uruk, larger, busier, a place of walls and stories, where later epics would rise like heat in the afternoon. Tonight, we do not need to travel quickly between them. We can move as if we are walking in a dream, where distance is gentle. We leave Eridu as the sky turns toward evening. We follow a canal that carries moonlight in a thin silver ribbon. We arrive at Nippur while the wind shifts and cools the skin. We pass through Uruk when the streets are quieter, when voices become murmurs behind closed doors. Each city is a room. Each room has its own sound. And through them all, the same materials remain: clay, reed, brick, water. It is a world made of soft elements. And soft elements are good companions for sleep. Now let's return to the scribe again, because the scribe is our anchor. In the late afternoon, when shadows lengthen, the scribe may receive something different, something not only about barley and oil, a list of names, a sequence of rulers, a record of who held authority and for how long. Even this can feel like an administrative task, a text copied, checked, stored. But sometimes, as we've already sensed, those lists stretch into a deeper time, not shouted, not highlighted, just present. And that is where the quiet curiosity begins to sprout, like a seed placed gently into soil. What did these people feel when they wrote down such things? Did the scribe pause for a heartbeat, feeling the weight of the words? Or did the scribe simply write the way you might write a date in a planner, trusting the system, trusting the tradition, trusting that this is how the world is held together? If you'd like, consider this softly. When you imagine a person writing in clay, do you picture them as ancient, distant, almost unreal? Or do you picture them as someone very human, tired in the evening, calm when the work is done, relieved when the tablet is set on the shelf? Maybe. Both can be true. That is one of the gentle gifts of history. It can make distance feel tender. And now, as dusk settles over the city, we return to the temple. The courtyard cools again. The water in the channel becomes darker, reflecting the first stars. Somewhere, a lamp is lit, small, warm, steady. Inside a storeroom, tablets are placed into trays. Some are fresh records of today. Some are copies of older texts, carefully made. Each tablet is a small rectangle of time. And there is something else in the room besides the tablets. Silence. Not an empty silence, but a full one, the kind that lets the mind stop arguing. Archaeology often offers this kind of quiet. It rarely says, "Here is the final answer." More often it says, "Here is what remains." A shard, a mark, a number, and then space. If you are someone who overthinks, that space can feel like a gentle blanket. You do not have to conclude anything tonight. You do not have to decide what is myth, what is record, what is metaphor. You only have to let the clay be clay and let the past be patient. And when the last tablet is set down, the scribe rinses their hands. Clay slips away underwater. The skin feels clean again and cool. The body relaxes. The day is done. If you've been holding your breath without noticing, let it go now. Let your exhale be long, because we are about to open the next drawer. In the next part, we will follow one specific thread. A quiet chain of words and numbers that leads us from ordinary accounting into a strange, gentle idea that even power, even kingship, could be treated like an object that moves. And we will meet the rhythm of counting in base 60, not as a lesson, but as a lullaby of repetition. For now, stay here in the temple's cooling shade. Listen to the canal, watch the lamplight, and notice how the city becomes peaceful when the day releases it. In the softest part of night, the mind likes patterns, a steady rhythm, a repeated sound, a familiar sequence that tells your nervous system, gently, that nothing urgent is required of you. So tonight, we return to something that seems simple at first. Records. Not the loud kind of records that announce themselves, not the dramatic kind that demands an opinion, just quiet tablets, stacked like sleeping stones in a tray. Each one holding a small breath of a day that ended long ago. If you're comfortable, let your shoulders sink a little deeper. Let your hands rest where they are, and let your breathing fall into a slow, easy pace, like water that has found its channel. In the world of early Mesopotamia, the first question was often not why, it was how many? How many jars of oil? How many baskets of barley? How many sheep passed through the gate at dusk? How many workers received their rations before the sun slipped away? What sounds like bureaucracy to us was, for them, a kind of survival poetry. Because a city is fragile. A city needs memory, and writing, pressed into clay, became a way to keep that memory calm and reliable. Who is at the center of this moment? A scribe again, quiet, trained, patient, not famous, not carved into statues, just present day after day as the person who turns movement into order. Where are we? In a temple complex near water, in a room where shade pools in the corners, in a place where the clay stays cool, even when the afternoon is warm. When is it? Long before the calendar, you know. Somewhere around the 4th millennium BCE, when cities were young and writing was still learning its own shape. What is happening? A reed stylus meets wet clay. A mark appears, then another, then a small pause, like the pause between waves. And how does it happen? Through repetition. Through the steady trust that if you count carefully enough, the world holds together. Now imagine a tray being pulled out from a shelf. The motion is slow and careful. The wood makes a faint sound, almost like a whisper against itself. Inside the tray are tablets of different sizes, some small as a hand, some larger, some cracked, some clean-edged. A tablet of rations, a tablet of deliveries, a tablet of workers' names, a tablet of livestock. You could spend hours here just reading the ordinary. And there is a strange comfort in that, because the ordinary proves something. People lived, people ate, people worked, people rested. And then, among those ordinary tablets, you find another kind of list, a list of rulers. At first, it feels like the rest. Name, city, reign. Name, city, reign. The same calm tone, the same steady hand. But the more you read, the more you notice that this list is not only counting grain, it is counting time. It is trying, quietly, stubbornly, to place human life inside a larger sequence. This is where we meet the king list again, not as an argument, but as an atmosphere. Picture it like a long corridor. Each doorway is a city. Each doorway has a name written above it. And in each doorway, time stands still for a moment, then moves on. Eridu, Bad Tibira, Larak, Sipar, Shurupak. The names feel like stones in your mouth, ancient, solid, rounded by centuries. And besides some names, the reign lengths stretch so far that the mind can't quite grasp them. Not because they are too unbelievable, but because our brains were built to hold days and years, not deep time. So when you hear softly that someone ruled for tens of thousands of years, you don't need to decide anything. You can simply notice the feeling, the way your imagination opens like a window, the way your thoughts become slower, the way the mind briefly stops arguing with the clock. Let's take that slowness and make it gentle. If you'd like, inhale as if you're widening space inside your chest. And exhale, as if you're letting time widen too. There's a detail I love about this document, and it's quiet enough to belong in a sleep story. The text does not shout when it becomes strange. It does not change its voice. It does not underline itself. It simply continues. It lists impossible lengths with the same calm that might list oil rations. That sameness is soothing. It is the tone of a person who believes the world is orderly enough to be recorded. Even if the order is vast, even if the order is partially lost to us now. And in that calm tone, you begin to understand a different kind of suspense, not the sharp suspense of danger, but the soft suspense of wondering. What did they mean? What were they preserving? What were they trying gently to keep from disappearing? If you are listening tonight with a busy American mind, overworked, overfilled, there is a small invitation here. You do not have to solve the past to be soothed by it. You only have to let it be bigger than your day. Now there's another pattern hiding in these records, one that feels almost like a lullaby if you approach it slowly. The Sumerians counted in base 60. It's why we still measure time the way we do, 60 seconds, 60 minutes. A shadow of their mathematics still lives inside your watch, inside your phone, inside the quiet ticking you can't always hear. But tonight, we won't teach it like a classroom. We'll let it rock you like a gentle repetition. Imagine a scribe counting with smooth certainty. One unit, then another, then the count gathers like grains poured into a jar. 6 tens, then 60, then another 60, sa, ner, sos, words that sound like soft pebbles dropped into water. And here is the strange thing. Numbers, when repeated calmly, can quiet a restless mind. They become like counting sheep, but older, like counting waves, like counting breaths. So I'll offer you a tiny, quiet rhythm, not a test, not homework, just a soft pattern you can let pass through your attention. 60, and then 60 again, and then 60 again, a measured pace, a dependable return. If you want, you can pair it with your breathing. Inhale, 60, exhale, 60, inhale, 60. And if your mind wanders, that's fine, let it wander. The numbers will keep walking without you. Now step with me into a different kind of room, the room of cities seen at night. In daylight, a city is movement. In night, a city becomes shape. We drift above the canals like a slow bird. We see rooftops of mud brick holding the last heat. We see courtyards dimly lit. We see the temple terraces quiet and watchful. And we move from city to city the way a finger moves across a map. Eridu feels close to water and reeds. Nippur feels like wind and ritual. Uruk feels larger, the kind of place where stories gather. Ur feels like a harbor of lamps, a place where the river meets trade and the sky meets prayer. Each name tonight is not a history lecture. It is a lantern. And I want to ask you something very gently as we pass these lanterns. If you could step into one ancient city for a single quiet evening, no danger, no demands, would you choose the marshy calm of Eridu, the sacred hush of Nippur, or the wide streets of Uruk? You don't have to answer out loud. Just notice which one your imagination leans toward. That lean is a kind of truth about what your mind needs. Now, as we float through these cities, we return to the phrase that keeps appearing like a soft refrain. Kingship descended from heaven. Again, no drama, just an image, something coming down, something arriving, something carried. Power, in this imagination, is not permanently welded to one person. It moves, it transfers, it rests somewhere for a while, then continues. If you've been feeling trapped inside a role, employee, caregiver, problem solver, this can be a relief to hear. Even the ancients imagined that roles are temporary. A role can pass through you. It does not have to become you. And as we keep walking, the list continues like a slow river. Names become shorter. Reigns become smaller. Time becomes more human. And then, quietly, we reach a hinge in the story. A flood is mentioned, and afterward the world feels closer. Not because the text explains everything, but because the scale changes. It's like stepping from a dream into a dim room where familiar objects wait. A cup, a doorway, a chair. History does this too. It shifts, it tightens, it loosens. And your own mind, as you drift towards sleep, does the same. Now let's return to the archive one more time. Imagine the modern drawer again, the catalogue labels, the soft lamp, the tablet resting in its tray. Somewhere on that tablet, the words are still there, pressed into clay, hardened by sun, carried by centuries. And we tonight are only visitors. We touch the past with our imagination and then we let it go, gently, so we can rest. There is a calm kind of humility in that. Because archaeology at its best does not shout certainty. It offers fragments, it offers patient silence, it offers room for the mind to stop gripping. And in that room, you can breathe. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. And if you're carrying something heavy, you can leave a gentle comment for yourself, just a small note of kindness, like a lamp in your own drawer of time. In the next part, our gentle journey will move from counting time to noticing what the tablets sometimes treat as administration beyond the human world, names and roles that read like a quiet directory. Not an explosion, not a shock, just a soft, curious turning of the page. For now, let the ledger close, let the city lights dim, let the numbers dissolve into silence. And if you fall asleep before the next drawer opens, that is perfectly fine. The tablets will wait. They have always been good at waiting. Tonight, we open a drawer that feels a little different. Not louder, not darker, just arranged in another way. If you are listening with sleepy eyes, you might imagine that same archive room again, the soft lamp, the wooden trays, the cool, quiet air that smells faintly of paper and earth. A curator's hand slides a tablet forward, careful as a lullaby, and the clay catches the light in a gentle sheen, and there, on the surface, you see lines of cuneiform that do not feel like poetry. They feel like administration, a list, a set of roles, a sense that the world, human and more than human, has been organized, described, and filed away. In the modern mind, myth is often imagined as wild and untamed, as if it should thunder like a storm. But on some Mesopotamian tablets, the strange thing is the opposite. The tone is calm. The writing does not gasp. It does not demand belief. It does not beg you to be impressed. It simply states who is named, what is assigned, where it belongs, how it moves, why it matters, when it is remembered, and if you like the gentle logic of 5W1H, you can feel it humming beneath the clay. Quiet questions answered with quiet ink, pressed into earth. Let's walk into that mood together. Imagine a scribe in a temple city, perhaps Eridu, perhaps Nippur, seated at a low writing surface as late afternoon light turns gold. Outside, water moves through channels with the patience of sleep. Inside, a lump of clay waits, cool and pliant. The reed stylus rests between two fingers like a small branch. The scribe has copied many kinds of texts. Some are simple, barley delivered, oil received. Some are ceremonial, hymns, offerings, instructions for ritual days. And some, copied again and again, carry stories that feel like memory wearing a crown. In these stories, divine figures appear, names you may have heard before, names that have traveled across centuries like lanterns. But what is surprising is how often they appear with something like a job description, a sphere of responsibility, a city association, a domain, a duty, as if the universe itself is a household that needs to be managed with care. If you listen closely, you might even notice that your body relaxes around this idea. Because management, in the gentlest sense, is not always stress. Sometimes it is structure. Sometimes it is the soothing knowledge that something has its place. Tonight's soft discovery is not a shocking twist. It is a change of texture. Myth here can read like a directory. Sometimes the tablet will name a group, Anunna or Anunnaki in later spellings, not with the heat of a campfire tale, but with the coolness of a roster. A name appears, then a second, then a third, and beside each one you can almost feel an implied station or seat, as if the cosmos has its own meeting room with reed mats laid out in an orderly circle. It can help, tonight, to picture it in the simplest way, not as a battlefield of belief, but as a library habit. As if the ancient mind was saying, here is how we keep the world understandable. And even if we don't share their worldview, we can still borrow their gentleness to give our worries names, to place them on a shelf, to stop letting them roam through the hallway of the mind. If your thoughts have been racing lately, try a small exercise, only if it feels comfortable. On your next inhale, imagine you are opening a drawer. On your next exhale, imagine you are placing one worry inside, like a tablet set into a tray. No forcing, no judgment, just one careful motion, and then rest. That is what these texts can be at their quietest. Not instructions for what to believe, but invitations to slow down, to let the mind become organized enough to sleep. And in that order, your heartbeat can soften gently. And I want to offer you a small, sleepy question. No pressure to answer, only to notice. When you imagine gods written about like officials in a record room, does it feel strange or strangely comforting? Either answer is welcome. The night doesn't judge. Now let's move closer to the clay itself. Picture one tablet that speaks of kingship as something that descends, something that can be carried, something that can be in a city. Not a person forever, not a bloodline guaranteed, but a kind of office, moving like a seal from hand to hand. Another tablet, or a copied tradition, might mention a council of figures who decide, allocate, decree. The language can feel procedural. A world where decisions are not only made, they are recorded. And then there is a gentle, curious detail that many listeners find both eerie and oddly quiet. In some texts, the boundary between divine and administrative is thin. Names appear as if they belong to a stable system, like entries in a ledger. If you're someone who overthinks, you might feel your mind trying to run ahead, trying to solve what it means. Tonight, we don't need to do that. We can let it be what it is, a pattern, because patterns are what the nervous system loves. A pattern is a cradle for attention. A pattern says you can stop scanning for danger. Now there is another concept that drifts through Sumerian thought like a box passed carefully from room to room. It is often rendered as me, not me as in the English word for yourself, but me as a kind of decree, power, capacity, or cultural essence, something like an inventory of what makes civilization function. There are me for kingship, me for craft, me for law, me for music, me for wisdom, me for weaving and building and ritual. You can picture them like small sealed containers on a shelf, each one labeled, each one containing a skill, a rule, a rhythm, a way of being. And here comes the soft, healing turn. If the Sumerians could imagine culture as something that can be carried and handed on, then you too are not required to invent everything alone. You came into a world that already had language, tools, melodies, maps. You arrived late, in the most ordinary and beautiful sense, and the weight of starting from nothing can ease. If you have ever felt behind or tired, or as if everyone else received a manual you didn't get, this ancient image offers a calm reassurance. Much of life is learning to hold what was given gently and pass it on with care. There is a line of thought in some Mesopotamian compositions that suggests humans appear after certain systems are already in motion. Again, tonight, we do not weaponize this idea. We don't turn it into panic. We hold it like a pebble warmed in the hand. Humans arrive, and the world is already humming. In that hum, there is comfort. Because it means you don't have to force the universe to start. You only have to join it. You only have to breathe with it. If you'd like, take a slow inhale now, as if you are joining a rhythm that existed before your worries. And exhale, as if you are allowed to be one note in a larger song. Now, let's speak of the flood again, but softly. Many cultures carry flood stories and they can be told with thunder. But on a night like this, we choose a quieter lens. Imagine rain that does not roar in your ears, but taps steadily like fingers on clay. Imagine water rising not as a scream, but as a slow rearrangement. A world reminded of its dependence, a world that cannot control everything. The flood, in this gentle telling, becomes less a catastrophe to replay and more a reminder of humility, that even strong walls can be softened by time and water, and that community, ritual, shared food, shared care matters. After the flood, the lists feel closer to human scale. Reigns shorten, names become more familiar. Time, again, becomes a room you can walk through without losing your breath. And there is something soothing in that narrowing. It is like returning from a wide dream into a familiar bed. Now, return with me to the archive room once more. The tablet lies in its tray. The lamp above it casts a warm oval of light. In that light, the wedges look like tiny constellations. A curator might call the tablet by a number, WB444 for example, because modern systems need their own order, but the clay does not care what we call it. It simply waits, and in its waiting, it teaches a soft lesson. We do not need to understand everything to be held by it. If tonight's soft discovery makes your mind curious, that's okay. Curiosity can be gentle. Curiosity can be a warm blanket instead of a bright spotlight. And if your mind starts to argue, is this literal? Is it metaphor? You can let those questions float away like dust in lamplight. Archaeology rarely gives us a final voice. It offers fragments, it offers silence, it offers a pause long enough for the heart to slow. Here, no one rests alone. Even ancient uncertainties can feel like companionship, because they remind us that not knowing is part of being human. So I'll leave you with another small, sleepy question, one you can answer only in your imagination. If kingship could be carried from city to city, what role have you been carrying lately? That you might be ready to set down for the night. Just notice, no fixing, no solving, only a soft release. In the next part, we will move deeper into the calm machinery of Sumerian time, the base 60 rhythm as a lullaby, the way certain names repeat like waves, and how a few chosen details, never too many, can feel like stepping stones across a quiet river. For now, let the directory close, let the shelves return to shadow, let the lamp dim a little in your mind, and if you fall asleep before we open the next drawer, that is perfectly fine. The clay has waited for millennia. It can wait for you too. Night has a way of turning numbers into something softer. In the daytime, numbers can feel sharp, deadlines, invoices, calendars that fill too quickly. But at night, when the lights are low and the world is finally quieter, Numbers can become rhythm, a slow metronome, a lullaby made of repeating steps. So tonight, we return to counting. Not as a lesson, not as a test, only as a gentle path, like stones set across a calm river. Imagine, again, the writing room in a temple city. Outside, the last heat of the day is leaving the bricks. The air is cooling and the shadows are growing long. A canal nearby carries the reflection of a pale moon, and the water moves with the steady patience of someone who has nowhere urgent to be. Inside, the scribe's table is simple. A smooth board, a bowl of water, a tray of damp clay, a reed stylus worn silky from use. The scribe sits with the posture of someone who has learned calm through repetition. A small lamp is lit, its flame is steady, its light is warm, and it doesn't hurry. The scribe begins with ordinary accounts: grain, oil, wool, animals, each item recorded with quiet confidence that the world can be held together by careful marks. Press. A wedge. Press. Another wedge. And in the center of all that practicality is a system that will outlive empires, a way of counting built around 60. If you've ever watched the seconds on a clock, you have already met it. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour. A shadow of ancient order still walks beside you even in a modern apartment, even in the glow of a phone at midnight. But tonight, we won't chase the full mathematics. We will only let the number 60 feel like a soft drumbeat. 60. Say it silently if you like. Let it land gently. Now picture the scribe counting not with urgency, but with ease, like someone counting waves or counting breaths. 1, 2, 3. The marks gather, the tablet fills, the mind settles, and at certain points the count circles back into itself, the way a song returns to a chorus. 6 tens, then 60. Then another 60. A calm return. If your thoughts are busy tonight, you can borrow this return as a quiet anchor. On your next inhale, imagine a count beginning. On your next exhale, imagine it coming home. Inhale and begin. Exhale and return. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to keep track. You only have to let the idea of steady repetition touch your nervous system and soften it. You might imagine too that the scribe keeps a small pile of tokens nearby, pebbles, seeds, or little cones of clay, objects that can be moved from one side of the table to the other as the count grows. 1 token becomes 2, 2 become 5, 5 become 10, and the hand learns the comfort of motion. Slide, pause, slide again. It is almost like a meditation, the way some people today roll a worry stone between thumb and finger, or trace the rim of a cup while thinking. If your forehead feels tight, let it smooth now. If your jaw feels clenched, let it loosen. Let the counting belong to the tablet, not to you. You are allowed to rest while the system keeps its gentle order. Listen for the soft click of each piece, a tiny confirmation, like rain on wood. With every movement, the lamp seems warmer, and your breathing finds the same patient pace naturally. Now let's widen the scene. Beyond the writing room, the city is settling into night. Courtyards grow quieter, footsteps become fewer. Lamps appear like small golden islands in the dark. On rooftops, people might sleep under open sky, listening to wind pass over the flat bricks like a slow hand smoothing a blanket. Above them, the stars are clear. In southern Mesopotamia, the night sky could feel enormous, wide, unguarded, full of ancient points of light. And it's easy to imagine how the mind would begin to connect the steady patterns of the heavens with the steady patterns of the ledger. Because both are, in their own way, forms of order. The stars return, the seasons return, the canals refill, the accounts balance. And even when the world is uncertain, The repetition offers comfort. If you want, take a slow breath here and imagine looking upward, not with strain, not with searching, just with quiet presence. Somewhere a temple terrace rises like a sleeping hill, and a watchman might glance at the sky, noticing a bright planet near the horizon. In later tradition, that bright point could be linked to Inanna, Venus, appearing at dawn and dusk, returning again and again like a promise that the night is not endless. But even that tonight, we keep gentle. We don't turn it into a lecture. We only let it be a small lantern in the mind. Now we drift slowly across a night map of cities. Eridu, close to reeds and water, where the air smells faintly of marsh plants and wet earth. Nippur, where the wind seems to carry the hush of ritual and old hymns. Uruk, where walls stand steady and stories gather softly behind them. We don't name too many places. We only let a few names pass like slow boats on dark water, and as we pass, notice how each name feels like a room in the mind, a room in time. This is one of the quiet skills the tablets teach us, the ability to move through history without rushing, to step from place to place as if walking through a museum at night, when no one is pushing and the echoes are kind. If you'd like, here is a small question to hold lightly. When you imagine these ancient cities, do you picture them in sunlight, or do you picture them at night under lamp glow and starlight? Night often makes the past feel softer. Now, back in the writing room, the scribe is not only counting barley anymore. A different kind of record is being copied, one that counts rains, not sacks, years, not jars, names, not sheep. And the same bass 60 rhythm slips underneath it like a hidden current. The rain lengths, especially in the earliest sections, swell beyond ordinary imagination. Tens of thousands of years appear beside a single ruler's name, written with the same calm tone as a delivery note. And here comes the soft discovery, the one that doesn't need drama. The text is not trying to startle you. It is trying to preserve a shape of time. A shape that might have made sense in its own context, part record, part tradition, part sacred memory, held in place by the simplest tool, a list. A list is soothing because it is finite. Even when the numbers are large, the format is steady. Name, city, rain, name, city, rain. If your mind has been spiraling lately, looping through what if and should have and I forgot, you can feel how comforting this structure is. It says, here is a sequence, here is a line you can follow. Here is an order that does not argue with itself. And you tonight do not have to argue either. You can let the list walk beside you while you grow drowsier. Now imagine the moment the tablet mentions a flood, not as terror, not as shouting, just as a hinge. Before the flood, time is vast and dreamlike. After the flood, time becomes closer. The rain lengths shorten, the world tightens into a scale the body can hold, and this shift is comforting, like returning from a wide open landscape into a familiar room. You may know that feeling in your own life. Some memories are huge and blurred, like a distant horizon. Others are close and detailed, like the texture of a blanket or the sound of a door at night. Both are real. Both are part of how the mind stores time. And as you listen, your own mind may begin to do what it naturally does before sleep. It loosens its grip on precision and lets the edges soften. That is not failure. That is rest. Now let's return to the archive in our present. A curator opens a drawer, a label is read, a tablet is lifted into light. The clay is cooler than you expect, as if it still remembers the shade of a temple room. The wedges are tiny, orderly, patient, and the room itself feels like permission. Permission not to decide, permission not to prove, permission to let the past remain partially quiet. Archaeology, after all, is often a study of silence. It offers what survives, then steps back. It does not force a conclusion into your hands. It allows you to hold uncertainty without panic. And in the soft hours of night, that is a kind of medicine. Here, no one rests alone. Every question you carry has companions in other centuries, other minds that also looked at the world and tried, gently, to keep it understandable. So before we move on, I want to offer you one more sleepy question, simple and kind. If time is measured in steady returns, like 60 seconds, like 60 minutes, what would it feel like to let your own thoughts return to quiet again and again, without judgment? You don't have to answer, you only have to feel the possibility. In the next part, we will touch a few specific details, never too many, about how certain capacities of civilization were imagined as things that can be held, transferred, and protected, like small containers in a storeroom. A soft idea. A gentle turning of the page. For now, let the scribe set the stylus down. Let the lamp glow lower. Let your eyelids grow heavier, as if they are curtains being drawn slowly. Let the city outside settle into stillness, the canal reflecting moonlight like a calm line of silver. And if you fall asleep before we continue, that is perfectly all right. The number 60 will keep its patient rhythm, the stars will keep returning, and the clay will keep waiting quietly in its drawer. Somewhere between waking and sleep, the mind becomes tender toward metaphors, not the bright, flashy metaphors that demand attention, but the quiet ones, the kind that feel like a hand resting gently on your shoulder, the kind that help you understand without forcing you to decide. So tonight, we open a drawer that holds a soft idea the Sumerians carried for a long time, an idea that can feel surprisingly healing when you approach it slowly. It is the concept often written as me, not me as in your own self, but me as in a set of powers, skills, decrees, and cultural forms, like the invisible tools that make a society work. Things that feel almost intangible, yet shape daily life, laws, crafts, music, leadership, ritual, measurement, writing. If you imagine it in the gentlest way, you can picture me as small containers on a shelf. Each container holds a capacity. Each one has a label. Each one can be taken down, carried, shared, and placed carefully back into order. And already you may feel why this belongs in a sleep story, because a shelf is calmer than a storm. A shelf says, nothing is chasing you. A shelf says, what matters can have a place. Now let's slip into the scene. It is late evening in a temple city. The air outside is cool, and the last voices of the day have softened into murmurs behind walls. A canal nearby reflects the moon in a thin, trembling line. In the temple storerooms, clay jars sit in neat rows, reed baskets are stacked, seals are kept safe, tablets rest in wooden trays as if they too are sleeping. A scribe walks slowly through this space, lamp in hand. The light is warm and low. It slides across brick and clay and woven reeds, turning everything into quiet texture. The scribe's sandals make a soft sound on packed earth. Nothing is hurried, nothing is loud. This is a place for keeping. And me, in the imagination of these texts, are part of what is kept. What is me, exactly? If we speak with gentle 5W1H questions, as if we are speaking to the night, what are they? They are the forms of civilization, practices and powers that shape the world. Who holds them? In the stories, divine figures may hold them, guard them, distribute them. But behind the mythic language is a human truth. Cultures preserve what they value. Where are they kept? In temples, in cities, in memory, in rituals, in written records, places that act like shelves for the invisible. When do they move? when power shifts, when cities rise and fall, when traditions travel, when people copy texts and teach skills, why does it matter? Because it suggests that what makes life meaningful can be carried forward even through change. How is it done? Through careful transmission, learning, teaching, copying, remembering, practicing. If you're listening tonight and you felt worn down by the pressure to figure everything out, this idea can offer a soft relief. You are not required to invent your whole life from scratch. Some of what you need already exists, like tools on a shelf, waiting to be used gently. A melody someone wrote long ago, a recipe handed down, a way of speaking kindly, a map of how to apologize and begin again, a ritual as small as making tea before bed. These are modern me in a quiet sense. And when you view them this way, you can feel something loosen. The loneliness of carrying everything alone. Now, in certain Sumerian compositions, me are associated with stories of transfer, how these cultural powers travel, how they are gathered, how they appear in one city and then another. In louder retellings, those stories can become dramatic. Tonight, we keep them soft. Imagine it like this, a boat on dark water, not a ship in a storm, just a steady reed boat gliding along a canal under moonlight. The water makes a small sound as it parts around the hull. The air smells faintly of wet reeds and cooling clay. A lamp on the boat glows like a floating ember. On that boat are sealed containers. Not heavy chests of gold, not weapons, just small symbolic packages. The capacities of civilization, the ways of living together. They travel the way knowledge travels. Along the canal, the world is simple. Reeds lean toward the water as if listening. A date palm's fronds move in a slow, patient hush. Somewhere behind a wall, a family's evening meal settles into quiet. Bowls rinsed, hands washed, voices lowered. The boat passes without needing to announce itself, and the water accepts it, the way sleep accepts a tired mind. If you are listening tonight from a busy place, an apartment with streetlight glow, a house where the day's noise still lingers, you can borrow this canal for a moment. Imagine the sound of water making space for the boat. Imagine that same sound inside your chest as you breathe. Inhale and make a little space. Exhale and let the space remain. And perhaps ask yourself very gently, if one small skill could be carried to you tonight like a quiet package, patience, steadiness, forgiveness, rest, which one would you choose to receive? Quietly, through time, from one place to another. And the people who tell the story are not necessarily trying to frighten you. They are trying to say what matters can move and still remain itself. If you've ever moved to a new home, you may understand this deeply. You can leave a street behind, a workplace behind, a view from a window behind, and still carry your essential habits, how you cook, how you laugh, how you rest, how you speak to someone you love. The shelf changes location, but the containers remain. Now let's look at just a few me as gentle examples, only a few so your mind can stay drowsy. There is me for kingship, the ability to lead, to coordinate, to be responsible for the whole. There is me for craft, the steady hands that shape wood, clay, metal, cloth. There is me for writing, the quiet miracle of turning thought into marks that survive. There is me for measurement, the calm ordering of time and weight and distance. There is me for music, rhythm and song that soften the heart. There is me for law, the agreements that keep the city from tearing itself apart. Notice how many of these are not about domination. They are about care. They are about making life livable. And in that there is something deeply human. Now imagine the scribe again in the storeroom, The lamplight reaches a shelf where small jars sit. The scribe pauses, not because the jars are literally me, but because the image is so perfect. Culture as something you can hold and place rather than something that must be fought over in your mind. The scribe sets the lamp down and touches a jar's cool surface. And in your own room tonight, you might touch your blanket, your pillow, the edge of your sheet, small anchors of safety. We are doing the same thing in different centuries. We are reminding the body that it can be held. Now here is the soft twist. Gentle, not shocking. If kingship can be carried and me can be passed along, then maybe you are not failing when you feel tired. Maybe you are simply at the end of a shift. Maybe it is time to set the container down, to return it to the shelf, to let tomorrow hold it again. If you'd like, I'll offer you a quiet question, like a candle in the dark. What capacity have you been holding too tightly lately? Responsibility, perfection, speed, control? And what would it feel like to place it back on the shelf for tonight? You don't have to answer with words, just notice the sensation of letting go. In the Sumerian texts, there is also a recurring sense that humans arrived into a world already patterned, already full of names, roles, rituals, measurements. In some stories, people are created to share the work, to keep the system running. Tonight, we hear this not as a burden, but as a comfort. You do not have to be the first. You are allowed to be the one who continues. There is a quiet dignity in continuation, in keeping the lamp lit, in maintaining the canal, in copying the tablet carefully, in making dinner, in texting a friend back, in brushing your teeth and turning the lights low. These small acts are civilization too. And if you've been feeling anxious, that anxiety can soften when you realize you are part of a long chain of ordinary caretakers. You are not alone in your effort. Here, no one rests alone. Even in the oldest stories, the world is held together by many hands, some visible, some only remembered in clay. Now let the scene dim. The scribe closes the storeroom door. The latch makes a small sound. The lamp is carried down a corridor, and the light moves across the bricks like a slow wave. Outside, the canal keeps its quiet path. Inside, the shelves remain. And on those shelves, real or imagined, the me wait in their calm containers, not demanding anything from you. They simply exist. Patient. Ready for the next day. In the next part, we will return to the king list's gentle hinge, the flood that shifts time into a closer scale. And we will let that shift become a soft reflection on memory, how some parts of the past are vast and dreamlike and other parts are close enough to touch. For now, breathe. Let your mind become as quiet as a storeroom at midnight. Let your thoughts be jars on a shelf, safe, labeled and resting. And if you drift into sleep before we continue, that is perfectly fine. The ancient shelves will remain in the dark, holding their quiet gifts until you are ready again. Somewhere, a single star hangs above the temple terrace, and you don't have to interpret it, only to let it watch over you tonight. The night is kind to transitions. In daylight, change can feel like a sharp corner. A new email arrives, a plan shifts, a year turns, and the mind tightens as if it must hold everything in place. But at night, transitions can become softer, like a curtain moving in a slow breeze, like water adjusting around a stone. So tonight, we step toward one of the gentlest hinges in the Sumerian sense of time. A flood, not a scene of panic, not a roar of disaster, just a line in a list, just a sentence in clay. A quiet before and after that changes the scale of the world. Imagine the archive again. A drawer opens with a wooden whisper, A tablet rests in a tray, its surface lit by warm lamplight. The cuneiform wedges are small and orderly like tiny footsteps across a field. A reader leans close, not to prove anything, only to listen. And the tablet, in its calm voice, continues to name cities and rulers to count years like a steady breath. Then, without warning and without drama, it mentions that the flood swept over. If you're comfortable, take a slow inhale here, and let the exhale be long, as if your body understands what the tablet is doing. It is not frightening you, it is simply marking a turning. In the Sumerian king list, the flood functions like a seam in fabric. Before it, time stretches wide and dreamlike. Names are paired with reigns so long that they float beyond the mind's normal reach. After it, the numbers begin to narrow, to settle into a scale that feels closer to human life. And whether you take that as history, tradition, symbolism, or something in between, the emotional texture is gentle. A world shifts, and then it goes on. There's a soothing truth to carry into sleep, because so much of our own anxiety comes from imagining that change must be an ending, or a catastrophe, or a failure. But the tablets often present change as a passage, a crossing, a hinge that does not slam. The rain comes, the water rises, then the water recedes, and people and cities and routines continue. Let's imagine that flood the way the night would like to imagine it. Not as crashing walls, not as screams. Imagine a long, steady rainfall over flat land. The sound is not violent, it is repetitive, almost hypnotic. Tap, tap, tap on reeds, a soft patter on brick, a hush on the canal's surface. The world becomes a little more reflective, a little darker, like a lamp turned low. And in that dimness, people do what humans have always done. They gather close. They share warmth. They trust the structures that keep them together. A temple door closes, a lamp is lit, a bowl of barley is stirred, a child is guided to sleep. Even in the story of a flood, the most human details are the quiet ones. Between those two lines, before and after, you can picture a slow walk through the archive hall itself. A long corridor, shelves on both sides, the floor smoothed by careful footsteps. The air is cool and the silence is not empty. It has texture. Somewhere, a door closes with a click. Somewhere closer, a page turns. Lamplight makes pools on the wood, and dust drifts through those pools like snow in a streetlight. If you listen closely, you may notice something comforting. Nothing in this place is urgent. Even the most extraordinary words are handled like fragile pottery, with patience and respect. And that is how we can hold the flood tonight, as a rise and a settling, like thoughts that swell in the evening, work, family, money, the unfinished pieces of the day. Then slowly, as you breathe, those thoughts begin to recede. They do not have to be fought, they only need space to pass through. If you'd like, try a tiny rhythm. Inhale as if the water is rising, and exhale as if the water is lowering, again and again, a quiet tide inside your chest. Here is another gentle question. When you hear the word flood, do you imagine fear, or do you imagine the calm after, when the air smells clean and the world feels newly quiet? Tonight, we choose the calm after. Now, if you like the gentle clarity of 5W Walsh in H, you can let it guide your mind without waking it. What is the flood here? A marker in time. A line that says, "The world changed. Where does it happen? In the imagination of a land threaded by water, canals, rivers, marshes, where life is always in conversation with flow. When does it happen? In a deep timeline where memory and record overlap, where lists carry both fact and meaning. Who experiences it? People who depended on water, who respected it, who tried to guide it, and who sometimes had to surrender to it. Why is it remembered? Because water teaches humility. Because communities remember what reshapes them. Because after a hinge, life feels different. How is it told? In a tone as calm as a ledger, as if the writer is saying, even this belongs to the order of things, and now, let's bring that calm hinge closer to you. Think of your own life as a list of rooms. Not a list of achievements, just rooms. A childhood kitchen, a school hallway, an office desk under fluorescent light, a late-night drive with music low, a quiet morning with coffee. Some rooms feel wide and dreamlike, as if they belong to another person. Some rooms feel close enough to touch. And in between there are hinges, a move, a job change, a loss, a new friendship, a year that ended differently than you expected. We often think we must understand these hinges completely. But the tablets offer another approach. You can name the hinge, acknowledge it, and then allow your mind to keep walking, before, after, and still life. If you've been carrying a private flood lately, anything that made your days feel rearranged, this part of the story is for you. Not to minimize it, not to explain it away, only to remind you that the nervous system can learn to trust continuation again. You can survive a change without turning the change into an alarm that keeps you awake. Tonight, you are safe enough to rest. Now let's drift back to the ancient cities for a moment. Before the flood, the list feels like the sky, vast, almost mythic. After the flood, the list begins to feel like the street, closer, more practical. Cities appear with a different weight. Rulers feel less like distant silhouettes and more like human figures whose time is measured in something nearer to a lifetime. And that narrowing is a gift, because sleep is also a narrowing. At first, your mind is wide. It thinks of years, decades, futures. Then, as you relax, the mind grows closer. The pillow, the breath, the quiet in the room. The huge horizon shrinks into the gentle present. The tablets mirror that process. They guide you from deep time into human time, from the sky into the street, from the wide dream into the familiar bed. If you'd like, let your attention narrow now. Notice the weight of your head. Notice the temperature of the air on your skin. Notice the simplest sound in your space. Maybe a fan, maybe distant traffic, maybe nothing at all. And then softly return your attention to the archive lamp. Under that lamp, the clay holds its marks without strain. It does not hurry. It does not try to convince. It simply remains. This is the silence of archaeology, again, one of the most soothing blankets for an overthinking mind. Archaeology does not always tell you what to conclude. It shows you what survives, and it allows you to sit beside it in quiet. You can do the same with your own memories. You do not have to solve your past tonight. You can let it be a tablet in a tray, real, imperfect, still, patient. Here is a gentle question you can hold like a warm stone. When you look back on your own life, can you name one before and after that changed you without judging it, without analyzing it, only noticing that you continued? Just notice. You don't have to answer out loud. And if the mind begins to think too hard, you can return to the sound of rain in this story. Tap, tap, tap. Steady, repetitive, safe. Now, the king list is not the only place where floods appear in Mesopotamian tradition. Other texts tell similar stories in different voices. But tonight we keep only the gentlest thread, the idea of a hinge, the idea of water as a teacher, the idea of time reshaping itself and then settling. Because the deeper lesson is not what happened in a definitive sense. The deeper lesson is that the human heart has always lived beside uncertainty, and still people built canals. Still they baked bread. Still they wrote names into clay as if saying, "We were here and we tried to keep things steady." There is a quiet dignity in that steadiness, and perhaps you too have been steady in ways no one sees. Perhaps you kept going through your own weather. Perhaps you managed your own canals, your routines, your responsibilities, while the sky changed above you. If that is true, let this story offer you a small recognition. You have done enough for today. You can let the water settle. In the next part, we will walk through a few post-flood cities as if on a moonlit stroll, choosing only a handful of names, letting them become peaceful rooms. And we will discover another soft truth, that lists, when read slowly, can become prayers of gratitude rather than burdens of knowledge. For now, let the flood remain what it is in this telling, a quiet hinge, a seam in time, a reason to breathe out. And if you fall asleep before we continue, that is perfectly fine. The clay will remain, the lamp will remain, the rain will fade into silence, and you will be allowed to rest. After a hinge, the world often feels quieter. Not because everything is perfect, life is rarely perfect, but because the mind begins to accept a new shape. The water settles, the air clears, and the small, ordinary things return. Footsteps, lamps, bowls, doors, a steady breath. So tonight, after our soft flood, we take a slow walk. Not a march through dates, not a lecture through dynasties. Just a moonlit stroll through a handful of names, cities and rulers, held gently, like smooth stones in the palm. We choose only a few because sleep loves simplicity. Imagine we are standing on a temple terrace. The bricks beneath your feet are warm at first, still holding the memory of day. But as the night deepens, that warmth fades into a comfortable coolness. The air is clean. Somewhere below, a canal reflects the moon in a thin, trembling ribbon. A reed boat glides silently, and you can barely hear the hush of water moving around it. In the distance, the city is quiet. A few lamps glow in courtyards. A few voices murmur behind walls. A dog shifts in sleep and then becomes still again. Above, the stars are steady. And here, under this sky, we open the king list again, not as a riddle to solve, but as a calm map. Name, city, rain. Name, city, rain. The rhythm is almost like a prayer, and in that rhythm, the mind can rest. If you'd like, you can let your breathing match it. Inhale, name, exhale, city, inhale, rain, exhale, and pause. Now the post-flood world in the list begins to feel closer to us, not because it becomes modern, but because the scale narrows. The rain lengths are no longer impossibly vast. The numbers, while still surprising at times, begin to live in a range the imagination can hold. And that narrowing is a comfort, because at bedtime, the mind wants to come home from the huge universe into the small, safe room of the present. So we will visit only a few cities tonight, just enough to feel the texture of place, the soft difference between them. First, imagine Eridu again. Even if the list moves on, Eridu remains in the background of Mesopotamian memory like a quiet origin. It feels close to water, marshes, reeds, the low hush of wind moving through plants. The air there smells of wet earth and green life, and the city feels like it grew out of the landscape rather than being imposed on it. If your body likes calm, Eridu is the kind of city that would soothe you. Now imagine Nippur. Nippur carries a different feeling, less marsh, more wind, a kind of sacred hush. The temple space feels central, and the air seems full of ritual that has been repeated so often it has become gentle. Not frantic devotion, but steady practice. Offerings placed, hymns murmured, accounts kept. If your mind likes structure, Nippur is the kind of city that would comfort you. Now imagine Uruk. Uruk feels larger. The walls feel more present. The streets feel wider. In later tradition, Uruk becomes associated with great stories, epics, kings, the human, longing to be remembered. But tonight we keep it quiet, a city at night, where lamps glow in windows and the canal carries reflections of rooftops. If your imagination likes spaciousness, Uruk is the kind of city that would hold it. And then imagine Ur. Ur feels like a harbor of light, a place where trade and ritual meet, a place where the night sky feels especially clear, and where a ziggurat might rise like a stepped shadow against the stars. Notice how we are not chasing detail. We are letting places become moods, because mood is what the body understands when it is falling asleep. Now, as we walk, the list continues. A few names appear like lanterns. We don't need to remember them. We only let them pass through us gently, the way you might watch headlights move across a distant road. Some names are short, some are long, some feel sharp, some feel soft. But the list holds them all with the same calm tone. And that calm tone is the real treasure, because the list does not say be afraid, it does not say be shocked, it does not say prepare yourself. It simply says, here is what was remembered. And in that there is a kind of kindness, a permission to be human and incomplete. The past is never fully captured, neither is your own life. Yet both can still be meaningful. If you're prone to overthinking, if your mind wants perfect closure, this is a gentle invitation. You can rest without closure. The tablet does not demand your conclusion, it only offers you company. Now there is a phrase we've already touched, but after the flood it feels even more soothing. Kingship descended and then was in a city. That image, authority moving like an object, can help you loosen your grip on your own roles. Because modern life can make roles feel permanent. You are always the one who answers, always the one who fixes, always the one who carries. But the ancient image suggests something softer. A role is not your identity. A role is a lamp you hold for a while, and then you set it down. If you'd like, imagine that now. Imagine a lamp in your hands. It is warm. It has guided you through the day. It has helped you do what needed to be done. But now it is late. Now the corridor is quiet. Now you are at your room. You can place the lamp on a shelf, not forever, just for tonight. And your hands can become empty. That emptiness is not failure, it is rest. Now, I want to bring in a gentle interaction point, something you can feel rather than answer. If you could set down one role for the night, just one, what would it be? The role of perfection, the role of speed, the role of being fine, the role of carrying everyone else's mood. Choose one quietly and set it down. Now let's return to the idea of me again, but only in the simplest form. Culture is something that can be carried. A city holds skills and practices the way a storeroom holds jars. And when people move, because they must, because they choose to, those skills move too. The shelf changes location, but the contents endure. This is a powerful comfort for anyone who has ever felt uprooted. If you've moved homes, changed jobs, lost a relationship, started over, you may feel that you lost something. But the ancient imagination suggests much of what matters is portable. Kindness is portable. Patience is portable. A way of listening is portable. A small bedtime ritual is portable. And the most beautiful one, perhaps, is memory. Not memory as a perfect record, but memory as a soft lantern. If tonight's story reminded you of a beautiful memory, feel free to share it below. And if you don't want to share, that's fine too. You can simply let the memory warm you privately like a cup held between your palms. Now, as our moonlit walk continues, we return briefly to the archive, the modern archive, where tablets rest under warm light. There is a strange tenderness in thinking about that. A piece of clay made by someone who never imagined you, carried through centuries of wind and war and dust, labeled, catalogued, protected, and now turned into sound in your room tonight. Do you feel how gentle that is? History is often presented as noise, battles, collapses, big names. But here, history is quiet. A drawer, a tablet, a lamp, a reader leaning close. It is not a spectacle, it is companionship. Here, no one rests alone. Even the past is a room you can sit in when you need calm. Now, before we move on, I want to offer one more soft question, this one like a whisper. When you think of the ancient world, do you imagine it as distant and unreachable? Or do you feel, in small, ordinary details, that it is strangely close? Maybe the truth is that distance and closeness can exist together. 5,000 years can be far on a calendar, and yet near in the way a person's hand presses clay, because a hand is a hand. In any century, a breath is a breath, a lamp is a lamp. A desire to be safe at night is deeply human. In the next part, we will step into the soft discovery again, not by adding drama, but by noticing one subtle thing, the way certain texts treat divine names like entries in a system, and how that administrative calm can become a soothing mirror for our own restless minds. And then gradually we will begin to lower the lights toward the final sections, bringing you back into the archive's silence, into the gentle truth that you do not have to decode everything to be comforted by it. For now, keep walking slowly under the stars. Let the city names drift like distant bells. Let the canal carry moonlight. Let your body feel heavier and safer with each breath. And if you fall asleep before we continue, that is perfectly all right. The night will hold you. If you've stayed with me this far, you may have noticed something unusual about tonight's ancient world. It is not loud. It does not push itself toward you with shouting or certainty. It simply offers you a room, cool, dim, and patient, where old words rest the way stones rest at the bottom of water. So tonight, we open one more drawer in the archive, and we do it slowly like turning down a lamp. The wooden handle is smooth from years of use. The drawer slides out with a small whisper. Inside, a tray waits, and in the tray a tablet lies like a sleeping thing, quiet, compact, unhurried. The marks on the clay are neat, repeated, orderly. And what they carry in some texts is a feeling that can be surprisingly calming, the feeling of a world described as a system. In modern life, systems can make us tense, phones that never stop, schedules that compress, algorithms that rush us along. But in these ancient tablets, the system feels different. It feels like a slow architecture meant to hold the world steady. Names appear, not only human names, but divine names as well, figures of myth and ritual, written with a tone that often resembles administration more than performance. A name, then a role. A place, then a responsibility. A relationship, then a boundary. It can read, at times, like appointments made in a quiet office of the cosmos. And if your mind is tired, if it has been scanning the day for threats, expectations, unfinished tasks, this calm, procedural tone can feel like relief, because it suggests that even the vast can be organized gently. If you'd like, let your shoulders soften again, let your breath slow, and imagine that each worry in your mind is being assigned a small label and a safe shelf, not to imprison it, but to stop it from running. Now let's step into the ancient scene. It is night in a temple city. The courtyards have emptied, the heat has left the bricks. The canal water is dark and smooth, reflecting a thin line of moonlight, like a silver thread. Inside the temple complex, Somewhere beyond the storerooms and the scribal room, there is a place where decisions are imagined to happen. In some traditions, you might picture a council, Anunnaki, the great ones, sitting in a circle, not with thunder, but with stillness. No raised voices, no slammed doors, just presence. The scene in our gentle telling is quiet enough to belong to sleep. Reed mats laid out, a lamp set in the center, the faint scent of oil and clay, a breeze that moves through a doorway and cools the skin. And here is the soft discovery again, not a shock, just a subtle tilt. In these stories, the divine is not only awe, it is also management. The world is treated like something that must be kept in balance, water-guided, grain-measured, cities protected, roles assigned, rituals repeated. Even kingship, as we've said, behaves like a thing that can be carried, transferred, placed in a city, then moved again. If you've been holding your life like a clenched fist, trying to keep everything from slipping, this ancient image offers another way to hold, an open hand. You can hold what you must hold, but you do not have to squeeze it all night. Here is a gentle question, babe. As quiet as the archive lamp. What would it feel like to treat your responsibilities as roles you carry, not as burdens you become? Maybe you can picture your duties as tablets in a tray. Real, important, but not glued to your skin. Now, let's return to the clay. A scribe writes with a steady hand, copying a tradition. The stylus presses down and lifts up, down and up, a small movement repeated until it becomes soothing. The marks are like tiny footsteps across a field. Sometimes the text names a figure, sometimes it names a city, sometimes it names a set of powers, those me we imagined, as sealed containers on a shelf. And between the lines there is something else, an implied respect for continuity. The world is not made new every day, it is maintained by canals that must be cleared, maintained by storerooms that must be counted, maintained by rituals that must be repeated, maintained by people who wake up, do their part, and return to sleep. This is one of the most healing truths history can offer. You are not the first person to feel the weight of keeping things going. The ancient world was built by caretakers, not only kings and heroes, but clerks, farmers, boatmen, bakers, potters, mothers, fathers, children, learning routines, elders, remembering where the tools belong. You belong to that long, quiet lineage of maintenance, and it is okay to be tired. In fact, tiredness is proof that you have been carrying something real. Now imagine that the archive room itself is listening. The drawer is open, the tablet is resting under lamplight, the reader leans close, and for a moment there is only the hush of paper, the soft breath of the person reading, the silence between one line and the next. This silence is not emptiness, it is permission. Permission to not decide what the names mean. Permission to not argue with the past. Permission to let mystery remain gentle. Some people, when they hear divine names recorded in a calm, administrative tone, feel curiosity. Others feel discomfort. Both are human. Tonight, you do not have to land anywhere. You can simply notice that the ancient mind sometimes treated the cosmos as a kind of temple storeroom, ordered, counted, protected, tended. And perhaps that is what your own mind craves at night, the feeling that things have their place. So let's give your mind a place. If you'd like, do this small inward movement. On your inhale, imagine opening a wooden drawer. On your exhale, imagine placing one thought inside, gently, like a tablet set into a tray. Then let the drawer close with a soft click. You can repeat it as many times as you want or only once. One thought, one click, one quiet shelf. Now we should speak of one more detail, small and soothing. The old texts often survive because they were copied and recopied by students and scribes, in rooms where learning was slow and physical, clay under fingers, reed stylus in hand, marks pressed with care. In that practice, there is a kind of calm devotion that doesn't require belief, only patience. A student learns by repeating. A scribe preserves by repeating. A culture continues by repeating. And your own rest tonight will arrive the same way, by returning again and again to the simplest thing: breath. Inhale, exhale, return. If your mind starts to drift toward debates, literal or metaphor, history or myth, let it drift like a leaf on dark water. You do not need to chase it. In this quiet corner of the night, the past is not a courtroom. It is a library, and libraries are soft places. In this room, even questions learn to whisper. Sometimes a modern catalogue number sits beside a tablet like a tag on a sleeping animal, a label, a code, a drawer location. It can feel clinical, and yet it is also a kind of care. It means someone carried the tablet from one place to another. Someone decided it mattered enough to protect. Someone built a room so clay could keep waiting quietly. And when you think of that chain of hands, ancient hands shaping wet earth, student hands copying wedges by lamplight, curator hands sliding trays into drawers, you may notice something in your chest soften. Because the past, at its most peaceful, is not a spectacle. It is stewardship. It is the same kind of stewardship you practice in small ways: washing a cup, folding a shirt, answering a message, checking the door before bed. Tiny acts of keeping. If you've been feeling invisible lately, history has a gentle answer. Most of what sustains life is invisible. A canal does not boast when it carries water. A shelf does not announce itself when it holds jars. A scribe does not shout when the tablet is complete. They simply do their quiet work and then they rest. So, just for a moment, let yourself be proud in the softest way. Not proud like a parade, but proud like a candle that keeps burning. You have kept things going. You have maintained something. And now you can let yourself stop. If you want one more sleepy question to carry into the dark, what is one act of keeping you did today that deserves a gentle thank you from your own heart? Here is a gentle community note, like a warm lamp on a far shelf. Here, no one rests alone. Every anxious thought you have has been felt, in some form, by other human beings in other centuries, under other skies. The details change, but the tenderness remains. Now, as we prepare to move toward the final stretch of the story, we do something very simple. We dim the lamp a little further. We let the archive room become darker at the edges. We let the tablet's wedges become less sharp in our imagination. We allow ourselves to stop reading and start resting. In the next part, we'll gather a few gentle reflections, the kind that make the heart softer rather than the mind louder. We will speak about time as a wide room, about memory as a lantern, and about the quiet dignity of being someone who simply continues. For now, stay with the open drawer. Let the clay be still. Let the names be quiet. Let the system of the ancient world fade into a calm impression, like the last scene of a film when the music lowers and the screen begins to darken. And if you fall asleep right here, mid-sentence, mid-thought, it is completely okay. The Council of Quiet Names does not demand your attention. It only offers you its stillness. Some nights the mind doesn't want answers. It wants space, not the bright, busy space of daylight where every thought becomes a task and every question feels like it needs a solution. But the darker, softer space where the edges blur and the heart can loosen its grip. So tonight, we let the archive room grow quieter. We let the lamp become lower. We let the clay tablets rest without being asked to perform. Imagine that you are back in that long corridor of drawers and trays. The air is cool and steady. A faint scent of wood, dust, and earth lingers like a memory that never hurries. Your footsteps are slow, almost silent, as if the building itself is listening for calm. There is a small table near the end of the corridor. On it sits a wooden tray. In the tray, a tablet lies under warm light. Its surface holds tiny wedges, cuneiform marks that once belonged to a living hand. You do not need to read them now, you only need to see them, because seeing is already enough. A reed stylus once pressed those marks into clay. A person once leaned close, breathing softly, making sure each wedge landed cleanly. Outside that person's room, water moved through a canal. Barley dried on mats. Oil was poured into jars. A city did what cities do. It tried, day by day, to remain steady. And now, thousands of years later, you are here, listening to a story about those marks. The chain is long and gentle. Hand to clay, clay to draw, draw to voice, voice to your room. When you think of it like that, history becomes less like a loud textbook and more like a quiet relay, not a race, a passing of warmth. If you'd like, take a slow breath in. Let it feel like you were receiving something that was carried carefully. Then exhale, as if you are allowed to set it down. Tonight's soft reflection is simple. Time is wide, wider than your worries, wider than your to-do list, wider than the tight loop of thoughts that sometimes circles at night. But wide time does not have to be frightening. It can be comforting, because wide time reminds you that you are not trapped inside a single hour. You are part of a larger flow, and the flow has room for rest. In the ancient world, people used lists to shape time. They used names and reigns, cities and measures to create a corridor the mind could walk through. Before the flood, the corridor felt endless and dreamlike. After the flood, it narrowed into human scale. Both shapes existed in the same tradition, held together by the same calm tone. And that calm tone is a kind of wisdom. It says, you may not know everything. You may not be able to prove every detail, but you can still carry a gentle relationship with the past. You can still be soothed by its patience. Archaeology, at its quiet best, is a practice of sitting beside what remains. A shard, a mark, a number, a broken edge, a missing piece. And then instead of forcing the fragment to confess, we let it be what it is. That is also a good practice for the mind at night, because many of our thoughts are fragments, a worry that isn't fully formed, a memory that has no clear ending, a question with no perfect answer. You don't need to force those fragments into certainty before you sleep. You can let them remain incomplete. You can allow them to rest in a tray under soft light, without judgment. Here is a gentle question to hold for a moment. What would change in your body if you stopped demanding a conclusion tonight? You don't have to answer, just notice. Sometimes the shoulders drop. Sometimes the jaw releases. Sometimes the breath becomes slower on its own. In the Sumerian imagination, kingship could be carried. Authority could move from city to city like a lamp passed through a corridor. And the me, those packages of civilization, could be held, transferred, protected. Even if you treat these ideas as symbolic, they offer something tender. Roles are portable, responsibilities are temporary, culture is shared, and you are allowed to set things down. So if you're still holding the day in your hands, imagine a shelf, a calm shelf like the ones in the temple storerooms. On that shelf are jars, baskets, gear and tablets. Each one is labeled, not with pressure, but with kindness. One jar is called work. One basket is called family. One small tablet is called money. One sealed container is called future. And there in the corner, a soft bundle is called what if. You don't have to throw any of these away. You only have to place them somewhere safe. For tonight, inhale as if you are lifting one item gently. Exhale, as if you are setting it down. Then let your hands become empty again. Outside the archive, the world continues quietly. A streetlight glows, a distant car passes and fades, a neighbor's door closes and becomes silence. Even modern life has its own midnight rituals, small, ordinary sounds that prove the day is ending. And somewhere far away on the other side of centuries, another kind of night continues too. A temple courtyard cooling, a canal reflecting moonlight, a scribe rinsing clay from their hands, a tray of tablets resting in shadow. When you hold both nights together, your night and theirs, you may feel a strange companionship, not because you can visit them, but because you can recognize them, a tired body, a mind that wants order, a need for safety, a hope that tomorrow will arrive. These are not new feelings, they are old. They have lived in countless rooms under countless skies, and that is why the past can heal the present. It tells you, quietly, you are not the only one. And perhaps tonight the most soothing part is not the names, not the numbers, not even the mystery. It is the way the past teaches slowness. A tablet cannot be rushed. Clay must be pressed at the right moment, soft enough to receive the mark, firm enough to hold it. Then it must dry, then it must wait. And in that waiting, it becomes strong. Your mind is not clay, of course, but your mind also has seasons. There are moments when it can take in information, and moments when it needs to harden into rest, when it needs to stop receiving, stop processing, stop reshaping itself for anyone else. So if you've been in a season of receiving news, messages, expectations, let this be a season of setting down, a season of quiet drying, a season where nothing new is required of you. Imagine for a moment that your thoughts are written in a softer material. A worry becomes a small wedge in clay, tiny, manageable, not sharp. A memory becomes a shallow impression, real but not dangerous. Even a regret becomes something you can look at without being cut by it. And then, in the archive, someone slides the tray back into the drawer. A soft sound, a soft closure, a soft promise. You can return later if you want. Do you feel that 5,000 years is far or near when you imagine that drawer closing? Somewhere inside that question is a calm truth. Time can be enormous and still tender. If you'd like, take one slow breath and let it be the only answer you give tonight. Inhale and exhale, and feel how the body understands what the mind resists. Rest is allowed. The deepest gift of these tablets is not what they prove. It is what they allow. A pause long enough for the nervous system to stop scanning, a silence wide enough to hold both certainty and not knowing. In that silence, your thoughts can settle like dust, gently. Here, no one rests alone. Every soft breath you take is echoed in some distant way by someone who once breathed beside clay and water and lamplight. Now I want to offer a small image, cinematic and gentle. Imagine the archive lights dimming one by one, not abruptly, slowly. Each lamp becomes a smaller circle of gold, then a smaller circle, then only a glow at the edge of the corridor. And finally, the darkness becomes complete, warm, not threatening. In that darkness, the tablets do not vanish. They remain. They simply stop asking to be seen. This is what sleep does with your thoughts. It doesn't erase them. It places them into a quiet drawer until morning. If you can, let that be your permission now. You do not have to solve the king list. You do not have to decide what descended from heaven means. You do not have to choose between myth and record. You do not have to carry debates into your pillow. Tonight, you can let the text be what it has always been, a set of marks in clay preserved by patience. And you can let yourself be what you have always been, a human being who deserves rest. One more gentle question as the room darkens. If the past can wait for millennia, can your worries wait until morning? Let the question float. Let it drift like dust in lamplight, then let it settle. In the next part, we will begin to lower our story toward its soft ending. We will return to the first tactile image, the cool clay, the reed stylus, the quiet drawer, and we will gather the final reflections like blankets. We will move slowly so you can drift whenever you're ready. For now, remain in the wide room of time. Let your breath be the only sound you follow. Let your mind become a calm shelf. Let the lamp in your imagination dim to a gentle ember. And if you fall asleep right here, in the middle of this quiet corridor, that is perfectly fine. The archive will not close without you. The clay will not demand your attention. The night will hold you, softly, as it always has. Now we are close to the end of our journey. Not the end like a door slamming shut. More like the last lamp in a hallway being turned down until it becomes a warm dot, and then nothing at all. If you are still awake, that's okay. If you are half dreaming, that's perfect. Tonight's story was never meant to be held tightly. It was meant to be held the way you hold a warm cup, gentle, close, and without strain. So let's return to the beginning, to the tactile image that opened the night. Imagine wet clay, not messy, not unpleasant, just cool, soft earth, like the riverbank after rain. It sits in a small mound, ready to be shaped into a tablet. The surface is smooth enough to reflect lamp glow, but soft enough to take an impression. A reed stylus rests nearby, its tip cut at an angle, its body light in the hand. The room is quiet. You can almost hear the scribe's breathing. Inhale and exhale. The stylus touches the clay. A gentle press. A wedge-shaped mark appears, small and clean, like a footprint in damp sand. Then another mark, then a pause. If you listen closely, the pause is the most important part, because in the pause the mind can rest. That is what these tablets teach, if you let them. Knowledge does not have to be urgent. It can be slow, it can be patient, it can be incomplete. The ancient texts we visited tonight, the lists of rulers, the mentions of cities, the quiet idea of me, the calm tone that sometimes treats divine names like entries in an ordered world, all of it sits at a distance we can't fully cross. There are missing pieces, broken edges, words whose meanings are debated, contexts we can only guess at, and yet, the remarkable thing is this: the lack of total certainty does not ruin the story. It softens it, it makes it safe, because the anxious mind often believes it must know everything to be okay. It believes safety comes from conclusion. But the archive offers a different kind of safety. Safety can come from accepting that some things remain quiet. Archaeology, in its truest form, is not always a loud answer. Often it is a respectful silence around what survives. A tablet does not shout its intention, it simply remains. A catalogue number does not explain a civilization, it simply helps us keep the fragments safe. A list does not give you a full biography, it gives you a sequence and then space. And in that space, the body can exhale. So if you have been pushing yourself lately, pushing for certainty, pushing for control, pushing for outcomes, let this part of the story offer you a gentle permission. Tonight, you do not have to know. Not everything. Not perfectly. Not now. And if you think about it, sleep itself is built on not knowing. When you fall asleep, you don't know what dream will come. You don't know what your mind will do in the dark. You don't know how the hours will pass. and still. Your body rests. It trusts. It lets go. The ancient scribe, too, had to trust. Trust that the clay would dry. Trust that the storeroom would protect the tablet. Trust that the city would continue. Trust that the canal would carry water again. And in that trust, the scribe could set the stylus down. Now imagine the scribe's hands rinsed clean. Water runs over fingers and clay slips away, leaving skin cool and light. The lamp in the room glows low and the finished tablet rests on a tray. The scribe does not stare at it endlessly. The scribe does not demand it answer every question. The scribe simply places it where it belongs. A shelf, a drawer, a quiet home. That is the gesture we borrow tonight. Not to file away the past, but to file away your day, if you'd like. Imagine a wooden drawer in your own mind. Smooth handle, soft close. Inside that drawer you place one unfinished task, one conversation you keep replaying, one worry about tomorrow, one memory you don't need to solve tonight. You place them gently, like tablets. Then you close the drawer with a quiet click. Not forever, just until morning. Now return to the image of time as a wide room. We have been walking through it together, from the archive to the canals, from barley and oil to rulers and reigns, from base 60 to moonlit cities, from the concept of me to the flood hinge that narrowed time back into human scale. All of those pieces were meant to do one thing for you: to remind your nervous system that life is bigger than your current tension. Not bigger in a scary way, bigger in a relieving way. Because when the world is wide, you don't have to squeeze yourself into a single tight moment. You can loosen. You can float. You can sleep. Here. No one rests alone. Even if you feel lonely at night, remember, people have always lived beside darkness. They have always looked for warmth. They have always needed stories to quiet the mind. 5,000 years ago, a person pressed a stylus into clay. Tonight, you press your head into a pillow. Different rooms, same human need. Now I want to offer you a final soft discovery, one that doesn't require any debate. The most enduring thing in these tablets is not a king's name, it's the act of keeping. Someone took the time to record, someone took the time to copy, someone took the time to store, and someone later took the time to protect. That chain of care is what lasts. And if there is a lesson gentle enough for sleep, it is this: the most beautiful things often come in silence, not in spectacle, in quiet continuity, a steady canal, a counted ration, a lamp lit in a corridor, a drawer closed softly, a breath taken slowly. If you've been striving for something big, something that feels like it must prove your worth, this is your permission to remember the smaller truth. Your life is already valuable in the quiet ways you keep it going, and you are allowed to rest from proving. You are allowed to rest from performing. You are allowed to rest from thinking. Now, as we lower the lights even further, I'll offer the gentlest kind of CTA, so soft it can almost drift past you. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself, not for the algorithm, for you. A small sentence of kindness, a small note like a lantern left on your own shelf. And don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys, but only if you want to, only when you're ready. Because nothing here is forced, nothing here is urgent. Now let's return one last time to the clay. The tablet rests in its tray, the lamplight is fading, dust floats in the glow like slow snow. The scribe's footsteps are gone now, leaving only the hush of the room. Outside, the canal moves in darkness. Inside, the archive waits, and in your own room, your breath becomes the main story. Inhale and exhale. Let the inhale be gentle. Let the exhale be longer. If your mind wanders, let it. If a thought appears, let it appear. Then let it pass, as if it is a small boat drifting out of view on dark water. You do not need to follow it. You do not need to solve it. You only need to be here, resting. In the next and final part, we will complete the sleep outro, returning fully to the archive silence, closing the drawer, and leaving you with a soft, open-ended sentence that gives you permission to drift away. For now, stay with the reed stylus. Stay with the cool clay. Stay with the kindness of not knowing. And if you fall asleep right here, before the last words arrive, that is exactly how this story was meant to work. The last lamp is low now, not gone, just softened, like a candle seen through sleepy eyes. The edges of the archive room blur in the most comforting way, as if the building has decided to stop insisting on its outlines. If you are still listening, you don't have to hold on tightly. You can let the words become background. You can let your breath take the lead. Imagine the archive corridor one final time. The air is cool and quiet. The wooden drawers line the walls like calm, sleeping faces. A small desk sits at the far end, and on it rests a tray with a clay tablet. It is the same tablet we began with, or maybe it is simply the idea of a tablet, the essence of it: clay, mark, silence. The lamp above it makes a small oval of light. In that oval, dust floats slowly like snow drifting through a streetlight. The dust is not dirty, it is gentle, it is time moving at its own pace. And the tablet rests. The marks on its surface are tiny wedges pressed by a reed stylus long ago. Each wedge is a small decision made by a human hand: down, lift, down, lift. A rhythm that once belonged to someone's day, now it belongs to the night, now it belongs to stillness. Imagine, if you like, the very first touch again: wet clay, cool under the fingertips, the reed stylus, light and smooth, the first press leaving a shallow mark, the first pause, making space for breath. And this is where we return, because sleep loves circles. Sleep likes endings that feel like beginnings, soft, familiar, safe. And now we begin to close the story the way the archive closes each day. Quietly, no dramatic music, no final verdict, no demand that you remember anything, only a gentle motion. A hand slides the tray back into the drawer. The wood makes a small sound, almost a sigh, almost a whisper. The tablet disappears into darkness, but it is not lost. It is simply resting where it belongs. This is the image I want you to keep, not as an idea to analyze, but as a sensation your body can borrow. A safe place, a drawer, a soft closure, because tonight you can do the same with your thoughts. You can slide them into a drawer, not to erase them, not to deny them, only to rest. If you'd like, take a slow inhale now. And as you exhale, imagine closing one drawer inside you, just one. A drawer labeled Today. Inside it, you place the conversations, the unfinished tasks, the worries that tried to follow you into bed, the small regrets, the small fears. You place them gently like tablets laid in a tray. Then you close the drawer, a quiet click, and your hands become empty. Notice how empty hands feel. They feel lighter, they feel peaceful, they feel like permission. Now outside the archive, the ancient world continues in its own soft way. A canal carries moonlight, reeds lean toward the water, as if listening. A temple courtyard cools beneath stars. A scribe, somewhere in the imagination, washes clay from their fingers and goes home. The ancient city does not need to be loud to be alive. It lives in small things: barley counted, oil poured, names recorded, lamps lit, doors closed gently. And your life, too, lives in small things. A glass of water, a blanket tucked around you, a light turned off, a phone set down, a breath released. Tonight's deepest truth is not about kingship or floods or councils of names. It is simpler. Time is wide and you are allowed to rest inside it. You do not have to outrun time. You do not have to solve time. You only have to let time hold you the way water holds a boat without gripping it. If your mind is still active, if thoughts still flicker, let them be like dust in lamplight. They can float, they can drift, they can settle when they are ready. You don't have to push them down, you can simply stop feeding them. And if a thought returns again and again, you can treat it like the base 60 rhythm we touched earlier, a repetition that does not need your struggle. It can come and it can go. Inhale, exhale, return. Now I'll speak to you the way the quietest part of the night speaks. Slowly, warmly, without urgency. Here, no one rests alone. If you are listening from a place that feels lonely, remember, you are part of an ancient human pattern. People have always sat beside darkness and looked for comfort. People have always needed stories to soften the edge of the day. Tonight, your comfort came through clay and lamplight and water. Another night, it may come through something else. But the need is the same, and the kindness is the same. If this story brought you calm, leave a gentle comment for yourself. A small note, like a lantern, you place on your own shelf. But then don't forget to subscribe for more peaceful nighttime journeys. Only if it feels right. Only when you're ready. Now let the words become slower. Let them stretch out like a soft blanket. Imagine the archive corridor darkening completely. The lamp is turned off, not suddenly, just a slow dimming. Gold becomes amber, amber becomes faint, faint becomes nothing. And the darkness is not empty. It is full of rest. The drawers remain, the tablets remain, the past remains, but it stops asking anything from you. This is what sleep offers. The world remains, but you are no longer required to hold it. Your breathing becomes the only rhythm you need. Inhale and exhale. If your eyes are open, let them close when they want to. If they are already closed, let them stay closed. Let your forehead smooth. Let your tongue rest. Let your shoulders become heavy. Let your arms and hands soften as if they are sinking into warm sand. If there is any tension in your chest, let the exhale carry it down and out, like water leaving a channel after a calm night tide. And if you notice your mind trying to reach for one last thought, one last question, offer it the same gentle answer the archive offers. Not now, later. The drawer is closed. Now is for rest. In the quietest corner of this story, there is only one final permission. If you fall asleep before you understand anything, it's okay. History is patient. The clay is patient. And the night is patient too.
Our story pauses here. Every visual and word you've experienced was assisted by AI, yet guided and perfected by sincere human emotion. We hope this harmony of history and technology has crafted a beautiful dream for you tonight. Let go and drift deep into sleep. Good night.